Good day, everybody. I trust you are well wherever you're watching me from. I just want to share a little word with you from John chapter 2 verse 1 through up to 5. The Bible speaks about Jesus being invited into the wedding of Cana. The Bible says the mother of Christ was there. The disciples were also invited. You know the story, how it happened, that wine went out and then Jesus turned water into wine. And that was the first miracle that Christ did. And from there, I just want to address a certain 5 principles that I can actually address to leaders, because most of the times as leaders you are encompassed by a position of addressing other people without being addressed, a position of actually ministering to others without being ministered, a position of actually speaking life to other people without even taking down some notes and having a stencil of making sure that you apply some certain principles on your personal life. The first thing that I pick from that contextual verse is that you need to be invited in people's affairs. Christ was also invited. We understand that the Bible says there was a wedding and then Christ didn't actually badge himself into the wedding, but he was actually invited. So you need also to come into terms with the reality that even though you're a minister, there is that temptation to say that I've ministered to a lot of people, I've gone to different places, I've done a lot of things for people, therefore I'm obliged to be part of them. Contextually, I know that is a situational aspect, but I want to say to us, allow yourself to be invited. Unless and until you are invited into people's affairs, the best way to engage into people's affairs is to pray for them. Make sure that you pray for them, pray with them, and then when you are invited, you are part of that. That's a very important principle that you need to understand as a person, as a leader. Be invitable, and be invitable at all times wherever is necessary. And the second thing that you can actually pick from there is that you need to admit where there is a need. The Bible says the wine went out, and then they did not say there is a problem. They said there is no wine. So whenever you admit there is a problem, the problem that we have with people is that they don't admit that there is a problem. It's not a weakness to admit. If you admit that there is a problem, therefore you are bound to achieve even more than which you have been achieving. The third thing that we can actually pick from that passage is that you need to also go to Christ. You need to go to Christ. When there's a challenge of admitting there's a problem, you need to go to Christ. Where do you go as a leader? Where do you go? Do you go to social media? Do you go to everybody? Don't trust everybody. Just make sure that you go to Christ. The Bible says, lead me to a rock that is higher than I. You need to understand that God is there and He is there for us all. So you need to understand that there is a person that was paralyzed. It is in a day of paralysis, and the Bible says that he was taken into the place where Christ was. When a gadget malfunctions, it's taken to the manufacturer. When you malfunction, where are you taken? When there is a problem with you, where are you going to be taken? Go back to Christ. And the other point that you can actually pick from there is that you need to follow an instruction. Christ gave a clear instruction. Make sure that you fill these water pots, and they were filled up to the brim. You need to follow instruction. Paul says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. He didn't say I can do everything, but he says I can do all things. You can't do everything, but also you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So you need to understand the instruction that God has given you. And also the last thing that I can actually pick in this scenario is that he turned water into wine. Christ can turn water into wine. Christ can turn hopeless situation into something of good. The Bible speaks about wine as a sign of joy, where there is nothing, where there is demarcation, where there is pain, where there is evil, where there is everything. When Christ is in the picture, water is turned into wine, and there is joy. So I thought to share with us these 5 points that are very critical and pertinent for us to maneuver in our walk with God. Thank you.